Are you vegan for ethical reasons? Yes. The health benefits are just a side benefit. They're that's just. What if you're wrong about God? Well, if I'm wrong, then okay, congratulations. But at least I am still me. I will never change who I am. I will never be a believer just for the sake of getting to heaven. I think that's pathetic. I think that I have integrity and dignity in myself, and I'll never change who I am, no matter if I'm wrong. But what if you're wrong about the plethora of gods out there, right? You could be wrong about a million other gods that are possible. You're in the same boat as me. Do you think time travel to the past is possible? Yes. No. I don't know, actually. I thought you meant future. Time travel to the future is possible, yes. There's a way of, there's a shortcut through space time that you can take by traveling through. There's like a loophole in the laws of physics that you can exploit. By traveling faster through space, you're actually slowing down time for yourself. Um, Going near a black hole like Interstellar has, you can slow down time. Do you think the universe existed forever? Yes, I think it did. I mean, I don't know, but I think it could have. You don't care if you prefer delusion. No, that's the problem. You don't understand what I said, right? I said I I wouldn't care about changing myself for God or for just because I have to believe in him to get to heaven. I think that's pathetic. I'll never change who I am. I'll still be skeptical. I'll still ask questions. I'll never change who I am. I will I will abide to the facts. Yes, I'll believe in God, but it doesn't make but I still will never change. I will still be skeptical. I will still ask questions. I will still be me. I'll accept the fact, but I'll never change who I am. How does time not pass? Because it's not that it doesn't pass, it's that it's illusory. The notion of that time passes is illusory. It's an emergent phenomenon. Why? We don't exactly know. But it seems that it's tied to entropy. There's some possibly quantum mechanical reason why time passes to us. Perhaps there's a deeper explanation, but we don't know. That's a very deep question. We still don't know why. Can you guys hear the guest? Okay. Is time consistent between is time constant among space and Earth? What do you mean is time constant? All the time exists. The past and the future still exist. They all exist. We're not passing through time. It's not that the future is necessarily not here yet. It's not that the past is gone either. All the time exists. I have a video about this on my channel called What is Time? And I explain it. Very amazing stuff. People say infinite regression makes the universe not eternal, but what if time is a point, the past is? No, infinite regression is not a problem. There's nothing wrong with an infinite regression in terms of time. You can have an infinite time in the past forever. There's nothing wrong with that. And even if you couldn't, it doesn't mean God is real. Oh, great. Here we go.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, you sound great. You sound phenomenal.
Hey, what do you got?
I mean, what do you got?
You
I
have a
mean, I
question?
see your Q&A, science, evolution, veganism, religion. I mean, Like I told you last night, I'm a 20-year Satanist just sitting here eating pizza, and let me tell you, I'm still sitting here eating pizza.
All right, have a good day. Um, what scientists say this universe is infinite? Nobody says, nobody knows, but it's possible. Brian Greene, Kaku, Tyson, Sean Carroll all think that the universe could possibly be infinite. Hello? Okay. Prove it's possible. Well, it doesn't defy laws of logic. It doesn't defy any mathematical laws. It doesn't defy any scientific laws. It's purely possible to have an infinite universe. This is not debated about. There's no debate on this. Like you're trying so hard to push this idea that the universe can't be infinite. Why? Why are you so motivated? Oh, that's right, because you're a theist and you don't want the universe to be infinite. Do you think it's possible for humans to invent a way to travel the speed of light? No, nothing with mass can travel the speed of light. It would take an infinite amount of energy to do so. We don't have that ability. Light is the speed limit. We cannot travel faster than light, okay? The reason why is a deep understanding of relativity. There's not enough space to travel faster. Because when you're traveling at the speed of light, all of your motion is in the spatial dimension and none of it is in the time temporal dimension. There's not enough space or time to go faster. Very, very deep understanding. Very, very deep thing. What if you bend light? It still travels speed of light in a vacuum. Speed of light is always constant. In a vacuum, curved, it doesn't matter. Speed of light is always constant in a vacuum. Nothing ever travels faster than light in a vacuum. I cannot comprehend time not passing. Nobody can, right? That's the problem, right? We can't be outside of ourselves, and it's a conundrum, right? Because now how do we know that time doesn't necessarily pass? Well, we can hypothesize, and it's really amazing that we actually can understand a model of the universe in which time doesn't pass; it's emergent. How long does it take to travel a light year? Depends on how fast you're going. If you're light, you're traveling a year. It'll take you a year. A light year is the distance that light travels in a year. The closest star is about 4 light years away. So light would have to travel 4 years to get to the closest star to us. That's a long time. Okay. It would take us thousands, hundreds of thousands of years to get to the closest star with current day rockets. Okay. Imagine SpaceX setting out a rocket. It would take them at least 100,000 years to get there. And that's just the closest star, right? Imagine stars on the other side of the universe that are billions of light years away. Billions of light years away, right? So the distances are amazing and vast in the universe. However, there is a shortcut, possibly. There might be a shortcut. If you guys have seen Interstellar, there's something called a wormhole that you can travel through. You can kind of bend space and time itself and travel through. This way, it's like a shortcut, right? And that's profound. Dark energy is faster than light. No. Dark energy is not a thing. It's not a substance. It's not an object. But space-time, is able to expand faster than light. Yes, the speed of light only applies to things within space-time, not space-time itself. So there is no speed limit outside of our universe. Outside of space-time, there is no limit. There's no limit. You can travel as fast as you want to. Bro's knowledge is coming from a movie. No, I knew about wormholes way before the movie of Interstellar. No, wormholes are hypothetical, but there's relativistic evidence of this, right? We know that Einstein showed that space-time is a fabric. it's warping, it's bending, it can warp and bend, and it can move, it's malleable. If you poke a hole through it, gravity wants to keep it back together. So we know that space-time is able to potentially be cut through, and with enough energy. If you have enough energy, you can cut a hole through space-time and travel through to another, perhaps, moment in the universe's history, or place in the universe's area. uh, the sun bends space. Everything bends space. Everything with mass bends space. You are bending space right now. It's just a teeny, teeny bit, right? But everything is bending and warping space around it. That's what gravity means, right? Mass is like in a field of this fabric of space-time, and imagine like a bowling ball on a fabric, or on the in the middle of your bed, right? Imagine placing a big bowling ball there. What happens? It warps the bed warps, the fabric warps a little bit, right? That's kind of what space-time is like. um, but it's just all directions. It's not just a bed, it's not just two-dimensional, it's three dimensions. All three dimensions of that object are being warped. Hence space is also being warped, because time and space are interwoven. So gravity has an effect on time and space, or mass has an effect on time and space. So there's a very deep connection between all three of these things that is really interesting to understand. What do you think about aliens or extraterrestrial beings? Yeah, I mean, the universe is big and there's lots of stuff, there's lots of possibilities. There are more planets than stars, and there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on all the beaches of the earth combined. Take a handful of sand, that's about 10,000 grains. Imagine all the sand on the planet. That's a lot of grains, right? We're talking 10 to the 26 stars. And that's what we observe. There could be many more out there. There could be 5 times more, 100 times more than that. We don't know. So, I mean, mathematically, it seems probable that there's going to be something out there, right? Plus, we know what life is. We know that life is just a chemical process. Amino acids, lipids, proteins, sugars. These are just basic molecules that form all the time in nature. They form all the time in interstellar mediums. These are not magic. Life is not magic, it's just chemistry. So it's amazing to ponder, but the universe could be teeming with life out there. Hey, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So we're talking about space or veganism today, or both.
What is your question?
Oh, that actually wasn't my question. Okay. Um, I'm gonna be respectful. You know, I notice a lot of people come up here and they talk a bunch of trash and then they run away. Um, my question to you: do you think the entire planet could be vegan?
Yes, because veganism is not a diet; it is a ethical stance. It's a philosophical stance. It's taking into consideration the animal's well-being and the welfare and their rights. And anybody can be vegan. It's just a matter of your intention, your mindset, your mentality. Um, but in terms of a diet, yes, everybody also can be vegan in terms of a diet. It's possible, hypothetically. Not today, current day, no, it's not possible, because there's many tribes out there that don't have access to plant-based foods. But
Oh yeah, yeah. And I'm not even talking
hypothetically,
about
yes.
God. I'm talking about civilizations. Granted, people that live in tribes that they don't have a choice.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not going to go to Sentinel Island and say you better go vegan. That'd be ridiculous. That'd be silly. Um, but at the same time, I care about people around me who can make the choice and can change. That's who I'm debating. So
Right. Um, I just got done traveling Europe and the UK. Um, you know, you think they eat a lot of pasta and spaghetti. the Italians. They really don't. They eat.
All right, guys, keep chatting, please. Let's get more people. Thank you all for the questions. They're good.
Yo,
Hi, what's your question?
I don't have a question. I'm just saying space isn't real
Why not?
because when are humans gonna be able to pay however much money to go visit space for an hour or two and get that view? It's 2024. What's going on?
You already can.
What we
You
waiting
actually
on?
can go to space. Blue Origin has rockets that you can go to space with. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's possible. You can also fly a plane. There's zero gravity
Why
planes.
there's no
You can go really
videos?
high up.
There's no videos of anybody or any regular
Yeah, there
human
are.
citizen, anybody just
Yeah,
going doing.
we have videos of the Apollo astronauts on the moon.
Nah, we have like the Red Bull dude jumping off that shit. We don't have any of like
That's not
regular people
space. That's
doing it.
not space. That's not space.
Well then shit, we don't got any videos then. What you mean? There's no humans
Yes, we
that's been
do.
farther than that.
Yes, we have International Space Station videos. Have you seen? Do you know what the
Where?
International
What
Space
video?
Station is?
What? I'm not talking international space. I'm talking about us. When are we gonna be able to go
You-
do that for a visit?
Well, in terms of us going to visit an average common person, you're talking maybe 30 years, maybe 20, 30 years from now, you'll be able to go to
Why?
space.
What the fuck? Why?
Because it's expensive to go to space. You
Why
know
does
how
it
much
gotta be
it's
so long? Why
cost?
does it gotta stretch? It's 2024. What you mean?
It costs money to go with rockets into space. Fuel, right? The pilots. There's a lot of money involved.
Nah, bro. I'm not buying it, bro.
Well, that's not my fault. That's your fault. You haven't done the research and the evidence and looked at the evidence.
No, it's just looking around. It's just my own observations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and your observations on what? You're just saying, no, that's not an observation. Okay? All right. A cruise ship also has a lot of cost. And not really, because it's been there's scale to it, right? There's lots of people on the ship. That's why it lowers the cost. When you scale something, that's why we're able to have so much food for cheap, right? That's why rice and beans are cheap. It's a mass scale of production. We're not there yet, right? We are at the point where we're going on singular missions to space. We can't do it on a mass scale. But that's what Elon Musk wants to do with SpaceX, right? He wants to make it cheaper by doing large scale missions. Is death a scary experience? There is no experience of death. You don't experience dying because there's nothing to experience. Once you're dead, that's it. There's no experience. You don't see darkness. There is nothing to see. Right? It's like seeing with your ear. You don't see with your ear, right? Just like dying. You don't see darkness. There's nothing to see with at all. And as far as I see, there's no such thing as an afterlife at all. No, your brain is not active when you die. No. For maybe 5 minutes when your heart stops, but you're still alive clinically.
Yeah, what's up, Mike?
Hey, what do you got?
Real quick, about veganism. I've heard you talk a little bit about it. I watch your lives a lot. On the veganism thing, I haven't heard you talk too much about that, but would it be, because I'm a meat eater myself, I'm trying to like not coax, but get myself into your society. You're against like the means we use to cull or kill our animals or unalive our animals now, like all the bad stuff they do because of because of how they mass produce it. You're not okay with that, right?
Right.
And if that were not on that scale, but say we made it to in a society to where you could actually give the animal you're going to slaughter, a long life and not keep it pinned up and don't poke or probe it, and would you still be okay with us ending its life after that?
No.
Okay, so it's not about the methods. You don't like their experiences being ended.
Right.
And no, that's good. That's good. I don't want to be a vegan, but the arguments for it are very, very good because I mean, And some vegans I'm coming across says reduction of harm, but you sound like you don't want the animals to be unalive for eating or consumption at all,
The way to
which is.
reduce the way to reduce harm to the animals is to not eat them. That's how you reduce harm. It's that simple.
And then my only argument against this was, oh well, plants are alive, but animals have an experience closer to ours that would delineate those two. So no, yeah, that's good. That's all I had, Mike. But thank you.
Yeah, plants are not sentient and they don't care about dying. They're not sentient. Okay. If ghosts are real, that would be evidence that there's something after death worth studying. What's a ghost? What is that, right? What is a ghost? What do you think about quantum computers? If we were able to create it, maybe we be able to understand us. What? Quantum computers are a big game changer because they work with superpositions, which is crazy. Because a typical digital device works on a binary system, zeros and ones. Sorry. A quantum system works on individual particles, which utilizes superposition, meaning that there's not a binary state. Now there's multiple states within one particle. So you can stick more information. You can also you have more computing power. And every qubit you add is exponential increase in computing power. So you just imagine having a large 1,000 qubit system, able to compute probably anything faster than any other digital computer ever could in 1,000 years.
Hello.
Hi, what do you got?
I came here to talk about veganism. Okay, and my question is that what do you think about lab grown meat? Do you think that's a better alternative? What are your thoughts on that as it
Yeah,
pertains to veganism?
absolutely. It's way better alternative than slaughtering animals.
So, and well, obviously human beings like are animals, and I don't think the vegan diet is the most optimal, for every single person.
There is
Now I
no
know you're.
optimal diet. There is no such thing as the optimal diet. That does not exist.
What do you mean? Like there are clearly some diets that are better for some people, though.
There's better. There's relatively speaking, yes, there's better, there's worse, but there's no such thing as the absolute optimal diet. That does not exist.
But clear. Well, let me rephrase that. Then there are diets obviously that are better for other people. Not everyone can like go on the vegan diet, and the vegan diet isn't
Sure they
best for
can.
everyone.
Sure they can. Everybody can be vegan.
No.
There's nothing stopping anybody from being vegan.
Well, for example, if you're allergic to beans and legumes, it's going to be like very, 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 very hard for you to get your protein sources.
Not at
If
all.
you're a vegan.
There's tons of vegan sources of protein that don't involve beans or those things.
But that's the main source, though. The point is, it's very hard. It's very, very, very complicated, though. And
No,
it's going to
it's
be like a
not
hard time for you.
complicated. Look, the only reason why you're saying that is because you don't understand the vegan diet. You haven't done your research on all the different types of foods out there that have protein. You're just motivated against vegans.
Yeah, I know.
Because you're not one. Look at the
But
evidence.
a lot of vegans, as you are, well, as you obviously know, a lot of vegans end up like coming off the vegan diet, though. For what
And
reason?
who cares? And where's your number? Where is those numbers coming from? You haven't even given us a data source.
I don't.
Number two, who cares?
Well, I don't have the exact
That
statistics.
that doesn't mean that veganism doesn't work. It means that they failed their diet. It doesn't mean that veganism is bad.
I mean, but what I'm saying is that obviously you can't expect people just to go on the vegan diet. That's what
Why
I'm
not?
saying.
Why not?
You just can't expect because it's not going to work. People are
Why
different.
not? I know people are different, but look, my goal is to make you learn and be educated on the facts. That's all I can do. I can't go to your house and stop you from eating meat, but what I can do is be here talking to people because everybody can be vegan. There's no reason why you couldn't be. But do you have an actual question?
Okay, yeah, I just got one more question. So, in terms of deer and obviously hunting wild game, isn't it beneficial to obviously hunt deer because the population is out of control, or to hunt invasive species such as snakes, for example?
Well, this
Those are
is a
just
sign.
less technically too.
This is now you're no longer talking about veganism. Now you're talking about conservation. But when it comes to hunting
Mhm.
invasive species or deer, there's no reason to. There are other methods, and we should exhaust those other methods that are non-fatal before we even talk about shooting animals like barbarians. I think that we can do fencing, contraceptives, pesticides, way better alternatives that don't involve shooting an animal in its heart, that are more
Mm.
better. Before we start shooting
Okay,
animals.
I got one more question. So, in terms of like relevance, in terms of like, importance and significance, obviously mammals and birds, we're basically the superior organisms, like when compared to like snakes and reptiles.
What do you mean superior?
Let
What do
me
you mean
finish.
superior?
In terms of like we can actually love, we can actually show emotion. Snakes, for example, don't really show that. They can't love, they can't
Well, just because
sympathize.
they show less emotions than you doesn't mean they don't feel emotions or love. Love, all animals understand love. All animals can love. There's no reason why we get to kill an animal just because they don't feel love or don't emote anyway. I mean,
Well,
would
they're
you
not
want to
as
kill?
complex. They're not as complex. They're not as complex as us, as mammals, because mammals we can empathize. We can we actually care about our young. We can show sympathy.
Okay, so just because so you're saying because we're more complex in what way?
In terms of intelligence, in terms of sentience and consciousness, we're
Okay,
more
so what if
complex in
there's
that way.
a
We
what
have
if there's a what if there's a baby who's not as conscious and not as intelligent as you? Do you get to kill that baby?
well, eventually he will be when he grows up, though. So it's not a good comparison. The baby will grow up and
Well,
become.
okay, fine. Well, that's not what I asked you. But I'll say this then. What if there's a mentally disabled person who has no cognitive ability and very little consciousness? Do we get to kill that person?
Of course not. We don't eat. We're not going to eat him.
Great. So then it's not
No.
consciousness, it's not intelligence, it's the fact that we're humans, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
Okay, great. So now the only reason why you get to rape animals is because they're a different species. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I
Okay,
mean,
so what if okay. So what if there was a species of people who were a different species than us, but they had gray skin, rendering them a different species? Would that be okay to kill those people that were gray skinned because they were a different species?
I I would say no, but I still think no,
Okay,
but I still think that
then
we're
it's not species. So there's no difference between us and the animals, and morally, that justifies killing them. That's the point. There's no relevant similarity or difference between us.
so. Do you one more question? Do you hold the same opinion for fish too, and like mollusk and clams?
Yes, any sentient being I don't want to harm if I don't have to, for those reasons. There's no reason to take away.
Okay, that's it. I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. We know good and evil. They don't. They know
So,
good and evil.
hello?
Hi. How?
Good. So if you don't believe in God, where do you get your morality from?
Morality comes from listening to others. If I see somebody crying and they're being harmed or being injured, I listen to them and I say, "Hey, that's not good. Let's not do that to these people." Right? I use my empathy. I use my brain. That's all you need for morality.
But then it's subjective, and it would be subjective for everyone.
Yeah. So is your morality. Your morality is just as subjective
But
as
then
mine.
who's right? Whose morality is correct? Mine or yours?
Well, there is no objective right, but the rightness comes from comparing and contrasting the consequences to your actions, the results of our moral systems. Right? That's how we get what's good or bad. And it's an ongoing debate. There is no ultimate morality, and we'll never always agree. But that's how reality works.
So you said that you get it from listening to people. So if you say something that hurts someone, would you like stop saying it to that person?
Of course.
Okay, so for example, when you go on your TikTok lives, like I've seen you in the past, and you make fun of Muslims, you make fun of Christians, and you mock their religion.
I don't make no. You're not gonna. I don't make fun of Muslims. I don't make fun of Christians.
So what
I
do you do?
make fun of ideologies, which don't hurt people. Right? Ideologies are not people. You're a
But there
person.
are
I don't
people
make
that are
fun of you.
bothered by you making fun of
You
their
are a you
ideology.
are a person. You're not a belief. You're not a religion. There is nothing wrong with saying or critiquing religions.
But these religions have been around for thousands of years, and people have
So
like
what? So what? They're just beliefs.
people
They're
have.
just beliefs. Beliefs do not deserve respect or exemption from criticism.
But then why does
Just
your belief
beliefs.
deserve respect? Well, why
I
should I
never
respect
said.
vegans?
I never. No, vegans are people. You don't have to respect
Muslims
veganism,
are
but you
people,
should
Christians are
respect
people.
people.
So so okay, vegans are people, are Muslims not people?
Of course, they're people. I never make fun of Muslims. I always make fun of their ideology.
I've seen you sit on live and tell another Muslim guy, "Oh, we're gonna die and we're gonna have our virgins in heaven." How is that
That's
not
the
mocking the
ideology.
Muslim
That's the
community?
ideology I'm making fun of. That's
And
the
who
belief they have.
follows these ideologies? Is it not the people?
But they're still ideologies. They're just beliefs, sir. They're not attached to you, person.
Okay, but that's your take. But I'm telling you, as a Muslim, when I see these stuff, like it does offend me.
It
If
makes
I
you.
were to,
It offends you not because it's about you, but because you're taking it personally, right? You are a Muslim, and I understand that, but you take these beliefs seriously for some reason. And that's not my problem. That's your problem that you are personally attached to these ridiculous beliefs. Just because you cry if I say your belief is wrong doesn't mean I have to stop and go, oh no, let's not talk about Islam. Let's not critique it. No, that's ridiculous. You are not a belief. You're a person. I won't make fun of you, but I will make fun of your ridiculous beliefs. Get over it.
okay, sure. But then if you say morality is subjective, and then your beliefs can also be dependent on your perspective on life. So you might find my beliefs based off of your perspectives ridiculous, but I can have the same exact feeling towards veganism and your lifestyle.
Great. Go ahead. Go ahead and make fun of veganism. But you're going to lose every time because my ideology is based on facts and evidence. Yours is based on faith and nonsense.
There's a lot of facts and evidence that backs up my faith. In fact,
No, there
this
isn't.
world,
There isn't. Try me. But go ahead. I mean,
what are the odds that we're even here today and that there's even life on Earth? Like, what is the mathematical number?
the odds are somewhere between 0% and 100%. Either or.
Okay, but the fact that there's life on Earth, you just believe that the Big Bang and like all this came about coincidentally and like all of these chances came about so precisely that life on Earth came about.
What do you mean by precise? What would an imprecise universe look like?
Well, everything, like how far away the sun is from Earth, the
Oh,
fact that
how close does it have to be for us to burn up?
well, if it was, I've seen videos where people have spoken about if it was even a centimeter closer, we'd burn, or if it was a centimeter further,
Well,
we'd
that's
freeze.
incorrect. The Earth's orbit, its eccentricity varies by millions of miles every year. Okay, we literally just moved like 1,000 miles in just the past 2 seconds, closer or further from the sun.
The
It's
sun is
not
moving
the
closer and further.
distance. It's not the distance that matters. It is the atmosphere that matters more. It's many factors, but the fact that just because we exist within certain parameters doesn't mean that there can't be other parameters in which other organisms can exist in. What makes
Okay.
us special? There's nothing about us that makes us special.
So, but then did the universe have a beginning? Like, was there a beginning to the universe?
Not that I know of.
Do you know that as a fact? Is it a fact that the universe could have always existed?
Yeah, it could have always. Sure.
What's your source? How is this a fact?
It's a possibility. I never said it's a fact. I said it's a possibility.
But then there's also a possibility that it never always existed. And if
Okay.
it did have a
You're right.
beginning, then it had a
It's sure.
cause.
You're right. It's possible either way. But there's no evidence that there had to be a beginning, and there's no evidence that it had to be eternal. We don't know. Nobody knows, especially
then-
not your little book of fairy tales.
Sure, but but then if you don't know either, then you're not 100% correct on what you believe. Like then
I
you have
don't
no
believe the
complete
earth.
proof
I
on
don't believe the
atheism.
universe. Hold on. I don't believe the universe is necessarily infinite. I never said it was necessarily infinite.
So then you believe it had a beginning?
I don't know. I don't have a belief on that matter because I don't know.
But then if you don't know, then that just goes to show that you're not wrong and you're not right either.
Exactly.
We
I
both
don't
can't
know.
prove anything.
Atheism, do you think atheism necessarily means I think the universe is infinite?
But then if you can't prove, like, because you always look for evidence of God, but if you don't have evidence of whatever you believe in, then how does what you believe in, how does that make it right?
What do I believe in?
You believe in nothing clearly. You just believe that we just came about. You believe in science. You believe that,
None of those are beliefs. I don't believe in nothing. I don't believe in science. Science is a method, not a belief. But more importantly, all my beliefs I have are tethered to facts or evidence from reality, right? If there's no evidence behind it, I don't believe it. That's it.
but
It's
why can't
that's
there
it.
be a creator behind your evidence? Why can't there be a creator of the atoms?
What's
Why
a
can't there be a
creator?
creator?
What do you mean by creator?
A creator is unlike the creation. So everything that we are, he is not. He's outside of time. He doesn't exist within time.
What hold on. What do you mean by outside of time? What do you mean by these words? What does it mean to be outside of time?
Okay, I'll explain it like this. If the universe had a beginning, then it had to have a cause. That cause had to be an intelligent being or an intelligent mind. That intelligent mind is God.
Look at your logic there. You just said if the universe had a beginning, therefore God. Look, how did you make that leap?
No, that's not what I said. I said if the universe had a
Yes, it
beginning,
was. That was
then
your
it had a
argument.
cause. I said it had a
Your
cause.
argument was if there was a beginning, therefore God exists. That's your entire argument, the crux of it.
No, I said
Unfortunately, you
if it
don't
had a
know.
be
Hold on. Unfortunately, you don't know if there's a beginning to even make that argument. And more importantly, it doesn't mean it's God if there is a beginning.
I said if there's a beginning, there's a cause. What could have caused that cause?
A quantum fluctuation. Many things could have caused it. Not necessarily God.
And what caused the quantum fluctuation?
The
This
cause
is
there doesn't need to be an infinite regression of causes. A quantum fluctuation is happening within a quantum system, which itself is eternal. Nothing causes that itself, right? There could be an initial state of the universe that is quantum mechanical. You don't need a man or an agent to cause the universe. What caused God, right? You can go on forever. The problem is you don't need to invoke a God at all.
But if there can't be an infinite regression. I agree.
Why
But
not?
then there can't be an infinite regression. That's just illogical.
Why not?
You can't just keep going because it has to stop somewhere.
That's not
Like look at your
that's not
family
a
tree. Your family
contradiction,
tree
right?
didn't stop somewhere.
There's nothing wrong with an infinite regression into the past. There's nothing wrong with that.
But then where does it stop? How do you just keep going back and back and
Why
back
does
and
it
back?
have to stop?
Because something had to be the cause of everything.
That's circular. That's circular reasoning. Why does it have to stop?
Because it's illogical to believe that it can just go on forever.
Why?
How is that not logical?
How is it illogical? It seems to be perfectly valid logically.
But then even like if you look at it from a spiritual point of view, because we can agree to disagree on science, if there's no life after death, then our existence is meaningless. It's completely meaningless. What's the point of us living today? What's the point of us waking up tomorrow? What's the point of us going to work, creating something if we're just going to live to
And
die?
why does, well, first of all, the fact that we have a finite life makes it very meaningful because this is all we got. My life is exceedingly valuable to me because this is all I have. The fact that I die and don't go somewhere, oh my gosh, that means that this life is incredibly important and I'll cherish every second I get. But on the other hand, if there is a God, why care you get another life after this one? Why care about this life? In fact, to you, it's just a test. All this life is just a test to see how well you can obey your master. That's not meaningful to me. There's nothing about God that makes this life meaningful all of a sudden. Meaning is subjective. You don't get it from God for sure.
I don't know, man. If there's
Then
in my
don't
point
know,
of view,
then admit it. If you don't know, then admit it. Honestly, be honest.
be
Don't say
honest about
it must
what
be
am I
God.
being honest on?
I'm sorry.
Be honest about what?
Your beliefs about reality. If you don't know something, be honest about it. I don't know. Don't say it must be God.
No, but how does it make it more meaningful if you're gonna die? Because then if you're just gonna die,
Mm.
everyone's gonna forget you existed, you're gonna cease to exist. Then in reality, nothing actually mattered if there's no reward in the end.
But it mattered now. It matters now.
And besides, even okay,
It
here's a point.
matters now.
Okay,
My
sure.
friends, my family, you're saying they don't matter to you?
Right, okay, but here's a point.
Look.
You
If
say,
God, hold on. If God didn't, let's say God doesn't exist. Does your family no longer matter to you?
well, they matter to me. But once I'm gone and my family's gone,
Exactly. Then you don't get matter and meaning from God. You get it from yourself and your friends
okay.
and your family.
Okay, right. Okay, here's another thing. You said that my ideologies are nonsense to you and you think they're funny. I believe that Islam is actually the perfect way to live because it teaches you full discipline. It teaches you to have a routine based off of your 5 daily prayers. It teaches you to stay away from any sort of degeneracy like drugs, alcohol, things like sex before marriage, which are all proven to make your life just better. And there's a lot of studies also that
I'm
show that
sorry, sir, but what does prayer do? What does
it helps you spiritually. It reminds you that it, if you're in a difficult time, if you're stressed, if anything like that, when you pray, it relaxes you. So even if I am wrong,
okay?
even
And
if
when
my
I
God
sit
doesn't
back and
exist,
relax and I meditate, I can meditate as an atheist.
no,
I
but I'm
can
looking at
think
it
of
from my
happy thoughts.
perspective. Even if my religion is wrong,
Hold on, sir, please.
okay, go ahead.
As an atheist, I can sit back on my bed and think about happy feelings and thoughts, and I can feel better. And I do it all the time, in fact. I listen to music and I feel better. I don't need the things you're raising are things I don't need from religion. I can get those without religion. Now you love all the good parts of your religion, but how about all the bad parts you're skipping? How about the part
What
where it
bad
says you get
parts?
to beat your wife? How about the part where it says you get to kill unbelievers? That's a little weird, isn't it?
That's very weird, and it doesn't say that. And I think you should be reading more with
Sure it does.
context
In
because
434, it says you get to beat your wife with a stick.
it's a hadith. It's not a surah,
No,
and it
it is
said
a surah, 434. It's a
wow.
chapter about women. It tells you how you get to that men are actually worth double than women. It actually says that women don't deserve as much as men get.
This is in Surah 434.
That one says that you get to beat your wife if she disobeys the husband.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to look into that. I highly doubt what you're saying is true.
Good, look it up. There you go. Keep looking. Look, I'm not here to say that Islam is necessarily bad because I just feel like it, but when we actually interrogate the verses, when we interrogate your Bible or the Quran, we look at the nonsense and we compare and contrast my atheism versus your Islam. And we compare, we say, wait a minute, look how regressive your belief is. And that's why it deserves mockery to me.
It deserves mockery. Do you not see any good in it? Do you not see any good in the teachings? Do you not see how it says to
Just
give
because there's
money?
some good doesn't mean that it outweighs the bad. There's a lot of bad, sir. And why not, instead of looking at the good only, why not maximize all the goodness? Why not just get rid of all the bad stuff, right? Why not revise the Quran and throw out all the bad shit and keep the good shit, right? Why not do that? Why not make our own fucking religion?
Because then you're just worshiping yourself. If you look at
What's
the life
wrong
of
with that?
if
Why do we have to worship a magic muffin man? Why can't we just praise ourselves and embrace ourselves?
because if you actually were to look at the life of the Prophet and study Islam or any religion for your sake thoroughly, you'll see that his life alone and the way that he lived was proof of his prophecy, was proof that he actually was a prophet. That the things that he did were actually miracles, and it couldn't have been done by just any
Like
regular
sleeping
man.
with a child?
I can debunk this like within 3 minutes, if you give me the chance. Okay, here.
How
A
old
hundred.
was How old was Aisha when Muhammad,
She
did
was 9 years
separate?
old. And did you know that a
She
hundred
was
years
what?
ago?
She was what?
Nine. Can I explain it though? Can I
She
explain
was
it?
9 years old
Yeah,
when they
before you
married.
get all shocked, let me explain it. Let me explain it, right? Let's look at the context here. 100 years ago in the US, the age of consent was 12. 100 years ago. The Prophet lived 1400 years ago when the life expectancy was 30. So if 100 years ago in the US, the age of consent was 12, does that make
Had enough. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and listen to apologetics about pedophilia. No, no excuses. I'm sorry.
Hello. Um, so I have two questions about religion and science. So about religion, my thing is, what if you believe in God, he turns out to be real, and you go to heaven? Wouldn't that be better than not believing and then going to hell?
Well, first of all, this is a false dichotomy. You're assuming that it's either my God or no God, when there could be 1,000 other possible gods that you're wrong about as well. So you're just, we're in the same boat. You just believe in one more God than me. But furthermore, if I'm wrong, okay, I'll accept the consequences because I have enough dignity in myself and integrity to not change who I am just because I'm scared of going to hell or scared of the punishment for not being a gullible sheep and believing in God. I will never change who I am. I'll always be skeptical. I'll always think with a scientific mindset because I think that's the most prosperous mindset. So I don't even care either way. It's a win-win for me actually. It's actually Pascal's wager reversed because it's a win-win for me. I'll stay who I am or God ain't real. I win either way. So to me, Pascal's wager is a very, very bad argument.
Uh, well, like, what if in the future we do get proof of him? Like, what religion would you uh go to?
I don't know, sir. I don't. It all depends on the evidence. But this seems to be a kind of like a comp out, right? It seems like you can't defend your beliefs, so you say, "Well, what if I'm right?" That seems a bit of a cop out, right? I think that your job as if you're a theist is to defend your belief. I think that's what you should be doing instead of saying, "What if you're wrong?" I think that's just a cop out.
All right, now I got a question about science related. So it's about the pyramids. There are pyramids found on Mars. So do you think the pyramids on Earth are like extraterrestrial or human made?
No, there are no pyramids on Mars. There are geological structures on Mars because there's lots of wind and water that existed in the past. Mars has lots of wind patterns on its surface. There's also there was also an ocean back then that could have perhaps caused erosion to certain geological structures, making it look like pyramids when in fact they're not pyramids. So yeah, I think that you should show a source about these Martian pyramids before you say that.
I saw it on Google.
That's not a source.
Oh, all right. See ya.
All right, have a good day.
Yep.
All right, come on up if you guys have questions. I'll answer the comments now. Are you Christian? No, I don't believe in God. Mike gets his knowledge from NASA. No, I don't get my knowledge from NASA only. NASA, by the way, is an organization. It's not a source. I get my information from studies and research and books and data that are falsifiable, demonstrable, testable.
Um, I just want to say you're doing good, but I just feel like you know we're here to change like the world, as you always said, and I've been listening to you quite a lot. But I just feel like there's over like almost 8 billion of us, and we get to talk about God. That itself is a proof, right? I mean, I'm not saying that is an evidence, But if you're looking for a true evidence of the existence of God, I think the fact that even you talk about it, and there's a lot of like atheists and uh,
We're not,
all
look,
kinds of.
we're not, let me stop you right there. We're not talking about God. We're talking about the epistemology getting to that belief, right? We're talking about how you know God exists, how we get to this belief in God. I don't know what God is. It's just an ambiguous word. So, from your perspective, I know it seems like we're talking about God and we're so obsessed with God, but that's not true, right? That's just your perspective. In reality, we're talking about debates, conversations, logic, science, epistemology. This is what we're really talking about. It's just that you don't understand that. So it seems from your perspective that we're talking about God. No, I don't believe in God. And even if it did exist, I wouldn't care. I care more about how we get to knowledge than what the knowledge is. So
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
you don't understand.
Obviously,
No, you don't
I don't
understand.
disagree. I do understand what you're saying, but I'm saying if you think about it deeply, you can even the fact that you talk about it, or millions of I've not met anybody on this planet in my entire life that it doesn't in one way or the other come across God. Like I mean, it might not
What
be
do
like
you mean
possible
by
or
God?
practical.
What do you mean? God is just a word, right? Like, what do you mean by God? What does that mean?
I mean, like obviously you don't believe in it, and a lot of people don't believe in it either. Even I don't particularly believe in no
Look,
God,
sir.
but I'm saying,
To me, God is just a word. It's just like snuffleupagus. It's just a word. It doesn't mean anything. S- The word God means 1,000 different things to 1,000 different people. It's just a word. What matters more is what exactly are you believing in? What and why do you believe it? That's all I care about.
but
Okay?
how does he get circulated to like every human being? Like there's no.
All right. It has a definition. What is it? Haven't seen a good one yet. I have not seen a properly defined version of a god.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you?
Hi, what do you got?
Yeah, are you a Christian or are you a Muslim or are you Jewish?
Hello? Kyra?
Hey.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. Yeah, I'm just going back to God. The definition, like the word God in general, like not a specific idea of God. Like religions all have different ideas and theories, you could say, about what
Okay,
God
great.
is.
What's your question? What's your question?
I don't have a question. I was just you said you didn't know what God meant. Like
Hey, what do you got?
Hey Mike, um, I was just curious on what you think the Big Bang is.
The stretching of space time?
The stretching of space-time. So is the Big Bang like objective? Like, is there definite proof that it happened?
Yeah, I mean, we can see the CMB radiation. We can look at the redshifting of galaxies. We can see light from other galaxies shifting towards the red spectrum, which means it's moving away from us. And this is all galaxies share this property. We can also look at the elements in the universe. We can look at the relative abundance of elements and see that specific ratios of elements that were produced through via the Big Bang nucleosynthesis are the elements and ratios that we see around the universe. There's tons of evidence corroborating to the fact that the Big Bang occurred. Now, the Big Bang is a model which is not complete, but it is definitely valid and the best we have.
Mhm. So you're saying we can observe these things through a telescope, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, I heard you say one time that it's just the universe expanding from a hotter, denser state to a what was it again?
There is no
Hello, Mike.
from the universe is not expanding from a point. All points of the universe are expanding away from each other. All space time is expanding and stretching apart. It's there's not one point where it's happening.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Can you answer my question now? So the universe is expanding, or like, yeah, the like holistically, it's expanding from a hotter, denser state out more to like a cooler, like wider state.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to get like a clarification of what
Yeah.
you think the Big
Look,
Bang is, since
the
there's
big
like,
the universe in its past. Right now, the universe is 90 billion light years across. It's a gigantic universe, vast. But if you go back in time, you see that the universe was smaller than it is today, relatively smaller. And at the Big Bang, at the 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was the size of a grapefruit in comparison. And all the matter, all the energy was compressed into this small volume of space, which was the universe. And it was trillions of degrees. I mean, billions of degrees, very hot. And it wasn't even in the same state we know. It was a weird, something called a supersymmetry, where all the
oh,
laws of
okay.
physics, all the states of matter were actually combined into one. It's a very weird state. And since then, the universe expanded, and all the laws of physics started to decouple, and became the universe you know today.
Oh, okay. So, I'm guessing you know what like the law of causality is, right?
There is no
Is
such
there
thing.
any way?
There is no such thing as
Yeah,
the law of causality in physics.
yeah, so do you know what causality is? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I know you're gonna get
causality.
technical, but
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, so is it possible to prove that the law of causality existed predating the Big Bang?
no, there is no such thing as the law of causality in a physical sense. Causality is an
Yeah,
emergent
I'm not
phenomenon.
talking about it.
It's a logical it's a not logical concept of actions preceding causes and effects. It's not real necessarily. It's not a fundamental feature of reality. But again, we don't know if there was something before the Big Bang. We can't see that far, so we don't know if there was physics before that. We don't know what that even means.
Yes, okay.
Perhaps the universe is infinite and it was always there in some way.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that one. But yeah, okay. I just had a couple of questions because I was curious. All right. See you, Mike.
Oh.
Yo, this is Mike's evil twin. I
Yeah.
saw your other twin on a live stream earlier. He was like low key spitting. You should be doing the same. Yo, you're doing a good job, bro.
Okay, do you have a question?
No, I'm just saying. I just saw your other live stream, but yeah, no, you're doing a.
Thank you. Okay. Bring your. What are the questions you guys have? Love the video on YouTube. Thank you. Yeah, everybody go subscribe to my YouTube, link in bio. Lots of all my debates there, all my content there.
Um,
Hold on.
Hi. How is the universe eternal? How could it have always been there?
Well, there's nothing stopping the universe from being eternal because we can imagine space and time being a four-dimensional object in which it's infinite in space and time. It doesn't end. There's no boundary to it.
So where do you
Um,
think the particles, the subatomic particles that expanded into the Big Bang came from?
that doesn't make any sense. There were no particles that expanded into the Big Bang.
Like where do you think all the, sorry, I meant matter. Where do you think all the matter that expanded
It was
into our
perhaps
universe?
perhaps always there, or if matter may be able to emerge from like a quantum fluctuation, right? There's something called a scalar field in which certain fluctuations can yield inflaton particles or in an inflaton field, and these particles can decay into the baryonic matter that we know today. So matter can be emergent of some prior energy state, but at the end of the day, energy is always conserved. It's never produced or created.
Do you think there's anything outside of or before the Big Bang? The Big Bang?
I don't know what that even means. What's before the Big Bang? I mean, that's like asking what's at the edge of the Earth.
I'm thinking of a kind of like a universal time. That's what I mean. Like a universal time is what I'm kind of hinting
We
at.
don't know. We don't know the answer. It's possible that there's another multiverse beyond our universe where there's other parallel Big Bangs occurring. Right? Big Bangs could be common. Perhaps they always happen in quantum mechanically speaking. We
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
there must be like a space at which they're happening in. That's what I mean.
Well, it wouldn't be the space that we're familiar with. It would be a hyperspace. It'd be a higher dimensional
Yeah.
space. But that's hypothetical. We don't even, all we can do is imagine these things. We don't know for sure.
I feel like there would have to be like if our universe is the only thing out there, then I can accept that. But I feel like I don't know, a lot of philosophers tend to agree that there has to be a necessary first cause that triggered the Big Bang. But I guess you're saying that in a sense, but you're just kind of saying that it is the universe or like it's a quantum fluctuation.
Nobody disputes the fact that the universe, as we know it, has a cause. But it doesn't mean that the entire universe had a cause. There's a difference between our local universe and the entire universe. There's a big difference there. So
Yeah, so
the Big Bang is not the entire universe necessarily. We don't know. Again, we don't know.
okay, so we don't know, like we can't have any theories on like where the, all the matter came from because we know it can't be created or destroyed. I feel like when we say we don't know that when we say that it can't be created or destroyed, I mean it's like to our knowledge, like we haven't seen it, created or destroyed. I feel like that's where we get that idea from. But
It's a mathematical thing. It's not just because we observe it. Again, matter is always conserved. It could have always existed in some way. In fact, that which makes the most sense to me. I can't even imagine there being a beginning. How does that even happen? From nothingness to something? I
so
don't know.
you're saying there's like, okay, I think I get what you're saying. You're thinking of existence as a temporal thing, something that's like bound by time. Am I correct?
Yeah. What other? How can something be not bound by time?
Yeah, because I'm kind of like trying to run the modal ontological argument where there must be like a necessary first cause. That cause has to be outside of our universe. And so
No, that's
would you,
nonsense. That's a bad argument. Like, you can't have causal relationships when there's no time to have them in.
so there has to be like kind of an objective sense of causality because so do you think the laws of physics existed before our universe?
The laws
Because
of
it's like,
physics don't exist in the universe, period. They exist in our minds. There are no laws of physics in reality. That's just how we describe the universe.
so would you say our mind is transcendent of this universe? Because if we
No.
know, so Mike, hear me out. So you know how you're saying that we get these concepts from our mind, right? And you're saying that the idea physics is just, something that I get what you're saying though. Like we have to use our minds. Our minds are the dirty filter. We're trying to filter something that seems absolute. But it's like, what exactly would determine what speed the Big Bang was expanding at? What exactly would determine that matter couldn't be created or destroyed? I think that these rules must have existed before the Big Bang in order for the universe to play out the way it does, with these laws like withholding, like standing.
That's the thing. There are no rules that are embedded within space and time. The rules are something we made up to describe the world. And we think that the universe works through these rules and physical laws. But that's just descriptive, right? In actuality, we don't know the true ontology of reality. We don't know what the nature of reality is. whatever that even means. We don't, in other words, we don't have the ability to be outside of our minds to understand the true
Yeah.
nature of reality. It's a very deep question, but I don't see how theists, by adding God, this gives any more credence towards a God.
Yeah, it doesn't. But I'm not a theist. I just wanted to. Anyways, I have like one more question. Do you think that the logical absolutes and the laws of physics would necessarily apply to anything outside of our universe? Like logically, because I know we can't ever observe that, but logically, do you think it would
Logic,
make
yes.
sense?
Logic would. Physics is a different story because that's an empirical thing.
Yeah.
There's room for physics to be different in other worlds, depending on their dimensions and structures. But yeah, I mean, logically speaking, logic seems to be a way of describing reality, and all realities should follow that logic.
Would you consider it to be absolute in that sense?
What?
Like, would you
Logic?
consider would you consider logic to be absolute in
I
that
don't know
sense
what
where,
that, I don't know what that even means. How? What do you mean?
like, would you
Logic?
consider it to be like, okay, so I know logic comes from our minds, but we can, like, there's something that we're trying to observe that we're like, like we're just describing these things. Our descriptions will always never be like 100% accurate. And I'm not even sure if we can get anything, like, if we can ever observe anything that's 100%
When we
accurate.
say something's absolute in logic, we're talking about definitional statements, right? Like analytically, this statement is identical to this, or there's a pattern here logically that must follow, right? P and P plus B is whatever. The point is that in our minds, we come up with objective truths because we can use definitions to get there. But that's why we say logic is absolute in terms of our definitions about things.
Okay.
But in terms of logic itself, I wouldn't even say that it has ontology outside of the mind. So there's nothing to be absolute.
Yeah, it does. Logic doesn't have ontology. I don't think any metaphysical concepts can have an ontology because they do all come from our mind. But I feel like the next step is to kind of, define what the mind is. Like, I'm not like a dualist, so I would say the mind is an emergent property of the brain, but I feel like we don't fully understand the mind. We just know that it's connected to the brain. So would you say that these concepts come from our brain or mind, or is that the same thing to you?
There's no difference. The mind is just the emergent process brought about by the brain. And what people often, theists will say, oh, what's qualia? Where's our qualia coming from? Where's our experience coming from? There's no atom in your brain that gives experience. Well, it's not a particular atom that gives us consciousness. It's the interactions between multiple synapses, multiple neurons. The electricity involved is our experience, right? So it's the bioelectricity that makes us alive, right? When I'm talking, when I'm breathing, these are electrochemical processes that are identical to my life. That's what life is. It's a process, just like consciousness is identical to, in my view, bioelectricity in our brains.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm satisfied with that answer. Thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have all the answers yet, but in my view, I think that consciousness is purely physical. I could be wrong, but
I'm a materialist as well in that sense. I'm a materialist too.
Yeah, but these are deep questions that it just makes the mind stretch a little bit.
Because what I was trying to do is I was trying to get you to say that there's something outside of this universe, like laws that might be able to transcend this universe. That I would have asked you, where do those laws come from? If our minds are the things perceiving them, then our minds.
No, that's not you're not going to make me do that nonsense, and I'm not going to fall for that trick. All laws are mind dependent.
No, because I made that mistake. I was debating a Thomist as well, and I accidentally. You don't know how many premises to grant a Thomist ever. You don't know how many premises to grant them, because if you grant them like one that you shouldn't have, then boom, they managed to like derive 50 other premises from that. But
right, yeah.
Well, thank you. I have no more questions.
All right, thank you. Have a good day. One more guest here. Coming up, if you have a question. There are scientists that are much smarter than you that believe in God. Okay, congratulations. But where's the evidence of God? I don't listen to scientists. I listen to their data, right? I don't listen to what the scientist says and go, oh, they must be correct. I interrogate what they're saying with the data. I look at their data. I analyze their data. I look at the methodology behind their data. Was it reviewed by somebody? Well, like, that's the point. Science is never about trusting scientists. It's about doing the work. It's about experimenting with the things around you. Why won't you eat eggs or dairy products? Because it harms animals, okay? Eggs, when we produce eggs, we have to, where does it come from? Like, think, use your mind for a second. Where do eggs come from? Hens, right? It comes from their you-know-whats. So they have to lay all these eggs for us, okay? And we put these poor hens in factories. We make them produce so many eggs for us. That's exploitation. Think about it. We're treating these animals like our own machines. That's disgusting. Let them be who they want to be. Just leave them alone. It's that simple. Also, in the process of producing eggs, there's chicks, right? When the eggs contain chicks, they're not useful to farmers. So what happens? They grind the poor chicks alive. I mean, this happens on a consistent basis around the world. I think that's disgusting. I think that we should stop the process. Dairy is another form of exploitation. I mean, we have to forcibly impregnate cows. We have to literally put our fists inside of their you-know-whats, inject them with semen and make them pregnant. That's a sexual assault. We're literally raping animals to get their milk. I think that's ridiculous because think about it. A cow has to be pregnant to give milk. And we're forcing these animals to become pregnant for us. They become uncomfortable. We force their milk we force milk out of them. It's disgusting. And it's exploitation to the highest degree. That's why I don't want to take part of any of it. I just say no. I don't want to partake in any of this. So I don't. There are many better milks than cow's milk. By the way, we're not baby cows. think about this, right? Like, why do cows produce milk? For their babies, for their little baby calves, not for humans. Right? Do we have to sit under a mother cow and drink their milk? No, we're not cows, we're humans, right? So there's nothing in cow's milk that our bodies require or that we have to get. In fact, the opposite is true. I mean, milk has been shown to reduce the risk, increase the risk of osteoporosis and bone diseases and cancers, and there are many reasons to avoid milk in total. So 90% of veganism is about learning about the world around you. It's all about education, really. It's about understanding who animals are, understanding what environment we produce for them, what system we produce for them. It's all about understanding them, connecting with them, because we're disconnected as a society, right? We're so disconnected from to nature. We're so disconnected that we don't see them as others. We don't see them as having personalities. We see them as objects. And we've cultivated a society that sees animals as just objects that we get to take and steal from. I think that's fundamentally wrong. Because the more you learn about the animals, the more you realize that we're not that different. In fact, we're almost identical to cows and pigs and chickens. And we have the same wants, desires, needs, the same love, the same compassion, the same consciousness in most degrees. We have same sentience. We can still feel, think, and love. If you have ethical farms which don't abuse animals, you can collect eggs and milk without harming. Okay. Well, this is how I view this, right? You're going to say, well, There's backyard eggs, Mike. If I have a chicken in my backyard and I take their eggs every once in a while, what harm is it cause? And yeah, you're right. It is a gray area here. Right? This is a gray area. But how I see it is this. I mean, replace that chicken with a person. I mean, imagine if I had a backyard where people were kept, and I kept them in my backyard, and they produced milk from their breasts. And then every once in a while, I'll go back to the backyard and I get their breast, I put milk in it, I put milk in my cup, and I drink the milk. That seems a bit weird and strange, and it seems like, yeah, I'm not necessarily harming that woman, but it's just fucking weird, right? It's just fucking weird. And so that's how I see the animals. I see them as sentient beings like humans are. So I would say it's strange and weird, and in some ways, just I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So I don't do to others what I don't want done to me. And that's how I live. That's how my ethics operates.
Oh, that was quick. Hello, Mike. How are you, pal?
Great. What do you got?
No, none. I just kind of wanted to come up because I just really wanted to say a lot of people that do like I've seen your debates in the past. A lot of people I see that you are Christian, but I find that a lot of them are atheists. So, what would you say about people that do debates that are atheists? Like I'm a Catholic and I try to go up and try prove God exists and everything like this. Would you ever go up and debate one of these idiots? Just a smile.
Wait, do you know that I'm an atheist?
No, you're not an atheist, but I'm saying, would you go up? Would you go up?
I'm an atheist. I'm not a Christian. But yes,
What
I
the
think
fuck?
that
Oh shit!
I think that debating is good for all sides. I think that Christians should debate atheists, atheists should debate Christians. I'm never against debating. In fact, I think that from my perspective, Christians that debate actually do a net negative on their for themselves. I think that
I agree.
in that Christians, when they talk, people leave religion, right, because of it. And they preach, they talk, they say nonsense. People leave the religions because of Christians. They're just self-destructing in a way. So yeah, I don't know why you think I'm a Christian, but I'm not a Christian. That was it.
Well,
That
I've
was
seen a God-fearing Oh God, yeah, I didn't read that correctly. Never mind. I did not hear that correct. I'm not even going to try debate. I believe in God. I'm not a Christian. I'm a Catholic, but I just believe in God. So I'm not. I'm not even going to try debate you, mate. Good night. Have a good one. God bless.
All right. Bye. LOL, you always kick people off who debate you. Okay, Miss Renee, come up and debate me. I'll never kick you off. Come up. I will not kick you off. You debate me. Let's do it. If you think I'm scared, come up, right? If you think you're going to beat me, come up. Hey, what do you got?
Sorry, boss. Okay, this is like a major tenet of Christianity that I think is if everyone helped out, everyone who they could help out, like within their power, would anyone suffer at the hands of humans?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, what's your point?
Like that's a major tenet of Christianity. Like how's that wrong?
It's not about helping people. I mean, Christianity is not about helping others. It's about it's about killing others, harming others who get in your way, right? In
No,
between
but
you and
Jesus.
God. Look, Christianity
But
is
like
not.
I think you're conflating the religion. I think you're conflating the religion with the belief, right? Because the religion is the practices associated with the belief. It can't be an A and a non-A at the same time, right? So
Your Wi-Fi is
Jesus
off.
literally said, "Love your fellow man as yourself."
Okay, great. So then why is it that Jesus says we get to kill people who are LGBT in Leviticus 20:13? Why do you say that? Right? Like,
Didn't he say before that, don't mistreat? Did he say don't mistreat people though? Before that, like anything before that, he said that long before that.
yeah, don't
That's
mistreat
and you're talking
people.
about man's laws.
Don't mistreat people who are not gay.
Yeah, don't.
Like, how about slavery? Like, why didn't Jesus
No, it
say
says
don't
don't
be
mistreat
enslaved?
people. Period.
Well,
It
then
said don't mistreat people. Period.
why
So
didn't
on enslaves is
all right?
you're violating the commands by justifying. What,
I can't do this. There's an echo. The signal's off. Christianity is not about loving people. It's about enslaving people, making them say that they're terrible, that they're bad people, that we're all sinners, we're all bad, we all deserve to die. That if you're gay, like. Christianity is not inherently a good system. I mean, sure, there is some good marriage within Christianity, of course, but in general, it's not a good system to me. That's not true. What do you mean it's not true? It's in your Bible. Look at Leviticus. Look at Exodus. It's pro-slavery. It's pro-killing. It's pro-murder. It's pro-rape. Exodus 21:7 says you can grape little children. This is Exodus 21:7. Have you read your Bible? Right? You haven't read it. You have not read your Bible. Christianity is good for people who are not women, not LGBT, not pregnant, not slaves, not Middle Eastern. If you're anything other than a white or Middle Eastern guy, Christianity sucks for you. Oh yeah, children too. Yeah, children. If you're a child, if you're a woman, if you're gay, if you're a slave, it's all Christianity is not good for you. Okay. Yeah, and animals. They sacrifice fucking animals. Like, there's bias here. Look, I'm not just simply dismissing Christianity, saying it's bad because I say so. Like, there's good reason to be cautious about your beliefs, right? Like, there's verses that are controversial. Like, there's really bad verses in your story.
So, Mike, let me expose you in about 2 seconds with veganism, so then you can go ahead and kick me off like you always do with your guests. But there is a research by a university that shows that muscle building is terrible with a vegan meal, and it's actually much better with a meal that has meat in it. It's a peer-reviewed study at Maastricht University, and you can look it up for yourself.
Okay, and so then why
I
are there?
exposed you. No,
So
shut
then
up.
what
Kick
was
me
the
off now.
methodology?
Kick me
Okay.
off now. Shut the
No,
fuck
no.
up. Kick me off now. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
you think this is a gotcha, but it's not.
It's a gotcha because it's a peer-reviewed
Great.
study
So
that
then
clearly
what
shows
was the methodology? How do they actually study these people? How do they
they
study meat
provided
intake? How do they study the
they
vegans? Did
provided.
they compare? Hold on, sir.
Let me
Hold
ask you
on.
a question. They provided
Hold on.
meals.
Hold on. Did they study vegans versus meat eaters, or did they do a meta-analysis on that?
No, it wasn't a
What was the
meta-analysis.
methodology?
Listen. You have ears, right? Just listen for 1 second. 1 second, Mike. If you listen for 1 second, maybe you can have some information. You are a smug person. Let me actually inform you on this topic because you don't understand it. They did a study in which they had a control group, the meat eaters, and a vegan group. The vegan group, they gained muscle at a significantly lower rate, even though they
How many
had.
people were in the study? How many people were in the study, and what were they eating?
16 and 16. So that's about
16 people?
34. No, 34
16 people.
34 people, Mike.
No,
16 on the vegan.
16 vegans. Okay, and what were they eating?
So, Mike.
What were the vegans eating?
Mike, let me answer your question.
What were the
for 1
vegans
second.
eating? What were the vegans
This is what you do.
eating?
You just
What were
mother
the
people with
vegans eating,
questions.
sir?
Let me answer your questions for 1 second. So what they did was 16 meat eaters and 16. You can say this is a small sample size, but it really isn't for a test of this kind. 16
It
millimeters,
is. It
and
is
no, it is no,
absolutely
it's not.
small.
No, it's actually not. You're looking for 1,000, a million. It's not, Mike. You
At
don't know
least
what you're talking about.
5,000. Yes, that 5,000 is
No,
at least the minimum we need for a study
those
like
are
this.
for specific types of
But
studies.
what were they
This
eating? What were the vegans
that
eating?
study does not fit that
What were
criteria.
the vegans eating,
So,
sir?
one vegan meal and one meat meal.
What was in the
What they
vegan meal?
observed was that the one with the
What
vegan
were they
meal.
eating?
Let me
This is
talk. What
this
they
is
observed
incredible. Look,
was. Let me
sir.
talk. What they observed.
No, this is incredibly dishonest. First of all, your study
How
is
is it?
16 people. Second of all, you have not shown what they were eating. What were the vegans eating? If you don't have their meal plans, you don't have a study.
This was a vegan, no meat whatsoever. Zero
What that
meat.
doesn't mean they could have been eating Oreos.
Zero.
They
No,
could have
they
been
were not.
eating Oreos all day long and drinking beer. That would be vegan. What were they
The
eating? What were
test
the
was
vegans eating?
conducted on old people. Old people don't eat Oreos, Mike. So shut up for one
It
moment.
was on old
Jesus
people.
Christ.
It was
Yes.
on old people.
Yes. Yes. Right. And this could also be applied to young people
Okay,
as well.
okay. So you have
Anyone who
16.
needs
Okay,
to build
hold on, sir. You have 16 elderly people. What were they eating? What were they eating, sir? Can you tell us their meal plan? Were they eating prunes and Oreos and cookies? Those are all vegan. Were they eating protein?
Ladies and
Were they eating
gentlemen,
protein shakes? Were they
he
eating
does.
lentils?
He
Were they
won't
eating
let you talk
beans?
once you expose him. This is what he does. He won't let you talk once you expose him. Let me expose you. Just shut up. Just close your mouth for 1 second and let me expose you, Mike. And then you can go ahead and kick me off because that's all you do with that smug face of yours. Let me just expose you. The ones with this vegan meal, what they observed was they gained significantly less muscle mass.
How much?
Even
What
though they
percent?
had the same amount of
What percent?
protein intake.
What
Even though they
percent?
had the same amount of protein intake.
What
What do
percent?
you have to say about that, Mike?
What percent difference and what type of food were they consuming?
Over 15%. Over 15 to 20%, I think.
15% difference.
To 20%. It may have been 25%. So almost a quarter of a percent.
Okay, wow.
Almost a quarter
So we have
difference.
16 people who were elderly. And there was a 15% difference.
Almost a quarter.
And we don't
It
know
was
what
all
the
the way up
fuck
to
they
a
were
quarter
eating.
difference.
We don't know.
Mike.
We still don't know what they were eating. They could have been eating Oreos all day long, stuffing Oreos down their faces.
No, they
There's
weren't.
protein in
No.
Oreos.
They weren't. I can assure you that they weren't eating Oreos.
So what were
Mike,
they eating? So what were
Mike,
they eating?
can you concede?
What were
shut up,
they
Mike, let me
eating?
ask you a
What were
question.
they
Can you
eating?
concede they were eating vegan meals? They were eating plant-based diets. That's what they were eating,
That
Mike.
doesn't tell us their meal plan.
They weren't eating shoes. I can guarantee you that. They weren't eating shoes. They
Oh
weren't
yeah, that
eating...
clears it up for
No.
us. I'm sorry, sir.
Because
I'm
right.
sorry, sir. This is not a good study.
See
I'm
that
telling you why.
veganism, no, it's a serious study that's published on a very highly credited nutritional
Okay, but the
journal.
test,
So
what it concludes is not relevant to veganism. Number one. Number two, we actually have studies that show vegans can be very healthy and can be bodybuilders. If you're getting the right types of foods in your diet, you can grow as much fucking muscle as you
they're
want
not
to.
growing as much muscle. This
In
study
fact, the
clearly
world's
disproves
strongest
it.
man who has won medals, Olympic medals, his name is Patrick Bowman. He's considered the world's strongest man. He has won competitions. He's a vegan. You can be vegan and be as strong as you want to.
The study
As long as you're
clearly
getting as much
disagrees with you.
protein as your body needs and more, you'll be just fine.
The facts
The
disagree
study
with
you
you,
just
Mike.
cited
How do
is
you make
not
this up?
necessarily hinged, is not necessarily that has to be the case. I don't have to eat what those elderly people ate. I could eat different foods and still get muscle.
So then why is that when you eat the same amount of protein with a vegan meal, you gain less muscle mass
It
than a
doesn't tell us about the
meat-based
protein
meal?
source. There's a difference between sources of protein and Oreo cookies sources of protein. There's a
You're
difference.
almost getting it, Mike. You're almost getting it there. You're almost getting it
Great. So bean
Almost, you're
proteins.
very
So
close.
what a better study would do is this. A better study would demonstrate that all the best sources of vegan proteins like tofu and beans and peanut butter and all these things, compare those to meat diets, right? That would be a better comparison.
Maybe you should read the study yourself, and then you
younger
can actually
on
make you
younger
feel
people
better.
who were dieting and exercising. And by the way, were those elderly people exercising?
Were those elderly people exercising? You know, you don't need to exercise to gain muscle mass. You know that, right?
They
So
weren't
no,
even exercising.
no,
Okay,
they both weren't.
go. You're
They
done.
both weren't.
You're done. You're done. We don't know what they were exercising. We don't know what they were eating. They're old, 16 old people. We don't know what. It's a terrible study. 16 people could be biased. I'm sorry, sir, but you didn't do or expose jack shit. They played bingo. Their exercise regimen was playing bingo and eating cookies with milk. All right. I have time for one more guest. They were watching The Price is Right. They're watching Jeopardy and they
Hello?
said muscle bass.
Hello?
Yeah, what do you got?
Have you read the Bible?
Yeah,
All of it?
most of it. Yeah, why?
Then you should know God wins in the end. The last book.
He wins what?
He wins, man. Every knee will confess every...
Okay, yeah. Every knee will confess. God loves me.
Sorry.
Jesus loves me. Jesus. Yeah, then the sequel, he didn't read the sequel to the Bible where humans win. We defeat God. No, but he was a troll, obviously, but people actually make that argument like, oh, well,
Yep. Hey, Mike. I had a question. Do you believe that Jesus historically existed, or do you believe in Jesus mysticism?
well, I think that the evidence is poor, but I wouldn't say that Jesus. I wouldn't just dismiss a Christian if they said that Jesus existed. I would grant them that, but I don't think we can be certain if he existed or not.
Yeah, that's really what I wanted to get, because I know that there's kind of like an uprising or a popularity, especially in TikTok and secular debaters, about pushing a Roman invention narrative. Yeah, I'm not sure, how many kind of debaters you follow, but I'm seeing a rising popularity in this notion that essentially Christianity was a Roman invention, which I'm certain there are parts of it that were, but there's definitely a lot of heavier push of that and towards Jesus mysticism. And I wondered what your take was in
Yeah,
general.
I think it's valid. I mean, take a look at the different Roman cults that were back in the day, like Mithricism and Dionysus and all the different types of gods, which share very similar stories to Jesus' story. Right? Some of them actually resurrected from the dead. Some of them were sons of gods. Some of them had disciples and people that they taught, and they were prophets. Like there seems to be a plagiarization going on in terms of the story of Jesus. But obviously there was something unique about Christianity that took off, but I would say that there's some good evidence that there's some plagiarism going on. But again, we cannot be certain about these historical claims.
Easy question. I was just interested in what your spit take was on it. So that's all. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's get the next guest.
Hello.
Hey, what do you got?
Hey. So I just wanted to ask you about veganism, because as of late I have kind of been hearing the arguments for veganism, and the more and more that I think about it, it really does appear to be that there are no good arguments against it, and I get it. I absolutely get it, and I'm coming to a certain point, obviously, where I'm kind of thinking about, and my question to you is, how difficult was it when you kind of reached that point to actually take the step?
Well, if I would have told you that, if I would have been a non-vegan telling you this, I would have said it was very difficult. But once I understood who the animals are, and once I understood once I saw slaughterhouse factory footage, it was easy. It was not hard at all because there was a motivation there to stop what I was doing, right? It's like if you're taking drugs and it feels good, you're going to say, "Oh, it's so hard." But if you see if there's some motivation, right? If there's somebody that that dies from a drug addiction, that's going to motivate you to stop, right? So but I would say that generally it's not hard at all as long as you're learning and understanding, the diet and what you're eating, putting in your body, and understanding who the animals are, and you're educating yourself. It's not hard at all.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely hear you, and I think that at some point I will get there, and because I see it, so it's just a matter of taking those steps,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that. So just one last question before I go. If God isn't real, how do gloves fit perfectly over the human hand? Just just to think about that, leave you with that.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. That's proof of God right there. That's a kid. You're kidding, right?
Yeah, I was absolutely kidding.
I thought you were serious. You sound serious. Okay. Yeah, that's hilarious. In fact, but this is funny because a lot of theists actually make this argument in some version of it.
Yeah.
Like the Earth is perfect for us, right? Like,
Yeah, of course.
look at
It's
the
fine.
if they just look at the pale blue dot for a second, they realize that the universe does not seem to have us in mind when it was being produced. It seems like we're a fraction of what's relevant.
The thing that I also kind of contend with it is like, if if there is a God, why does the universe need to even be finely tuned? Like in terms of the physical constants, like God shouldn't have to care about what number value this constant is. He can do anything he wants. He can have there be no constants. So
Exactly. God can
it's
make us live with any glove we wanted to. He can make us live in any universe he wanted to. He can make us live on Pluto, Mars, without air. He can make us live anywhere he wants to.
yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate your time a lot, man. Thank you, and I love the parody lives. I think they're quite hilarious.
Yeah, me too. They give me entertainment and bring laughs to the table, which is always good. So,
Love it, man. Love it. Take care.
all right, you too. One last victim. They have Lulu. Her name is Lulu, I think.
Oh, hello. I just wonder when these people call and say about uh, animals eating other animals and all that stuff. Um, I mean, do they realize that? Does anyone ever bring it up where if we took all the grain right now that we give to the cattle to feed relatively few people steak, if we instead just distributed that around the world to all the hungry people, I think world hunger, I've read it, that it would be a thing of the past.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If instead of the cattle eating the grain, the humans were
Well,
eating the
well,
grain.
well, to make things a bit clearer, a lot of the grain that we use for cattle is not edible to humans. But if we all went vegan, there's a study called Reducing Food's Environmental Impacts to Producers and Consumers done by Oxford, and it demonstrates that if everybody were to go vegan, we'd actually save 75% of land on the planet, or that's arable. And that would unlock a lot more land for us to grow crops for humans. So we would actually be able to solve world hunger by unlocking more land for humans instead of producing so much for the cattle. You're right.
That makes sense. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's all about knowledge and learning and understanding. That's the key to everything, right? If you're going through a problem right now, if you're any problem you're going through, whether it's existential or financial or career-wise or relationship-wise, the answer to all of your problems always lies in knowledge. Always. Learning more about the world around you always allows you to figure out ways to solve the problems you're seeing. Just keep that in mind, because that's what science gets us. Science allows us to tap into that power of knowledge, right? It taps into that because people don't understand the tool of science. They don't understand what is possible or the potential. It's like teaching somebody to fish, but you give them a stick instead of a fishing rod. It's like you're in the wrong tool, right? You're not in the you're not in the right vehicle. So most Americans and most people on the planet don't have the fishing rod. They have sticks, and they don't know how to fish. They don't know how to fish properly. So I'm here to say, here's a fishing rod. Here you go. Now you can, here's the tool of science you can use. And science is not just about knowing things about animals and birds. It's about seeing the world in a different way. And I mean, it really does change everything about everything. Okay. Can you dumb it down a little more? Seriously? Mike, do Chump explaining evolution. I haven't done Chump in so long. Excuse me. Excuse me. Our ancestors were like chimpanzees, okay? I call them chimpy. Their DNA was a bit like ours, but a bit different, okay? Tremendously different. Their DNA changed a little bit, and frankly, believe me, I can tell you that our DNA's in common, common lineage with chromosome 2, okay? I call it chromosome 2. It's a great chromosome. I mean, we know chromosomes like no other biologist, okay? But believe me, we evolved, okay? Believe me. Tremendous bigly evolution. Okay, that's all I can say. I'm tired. I hope you guys fucking vote. Right? Don't sit out this election. Please don't. Biden's not gonna make it if we don't vote. Like, we gotta vote. I know, I don't like Biden either, but look, what else do we fucking have? We don't have a choice. You think Marianne Williamson is gonna win? No. You think fucking Dean Phillips is gonna? No. No. We have to vote Biden. Biden actually has done. If you actually look at his track record, he actually has done a lot of fucking things. Like, he passed like the Inflation Reduction Act. He passed climate change action. He did a lot of things, and that's better than nothing. So, unfortunately, we're in this predicament to where we have to vote for good or bad, and we don't have a choice in between. There's no better option. So, yeah. How do I feel about Trump? He's a complete maniac. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no idea what he's talking about. He doesn't even understand. He doesn't understand climate change. Taking us out of the Paris Accord was the worst thing he did. He's anti-science. He's pro taking abortion away, taking healthcare away from people, innocent teenagers. It's disgusting. Climate change is BS. Oh, really? Come up here, Jeff. I'd love to talk to you. It's my specialty. Climate change is a fact and is one of the biggest problems we're facing today. Biden was on the vegan study group. What do you mean? Oh. Biden was on the study that the guy mentioned before? Yeah. That was funny. Okay. Yeah, if it was up to me, I would vote for somebody younger. But who is going to be that person? Nobody. Like, Marianne Williamson, I like her a bit. She's a little weird and strange. I actually talked to her. If you guys remember that, I talked to her on Parker's Live. I asked her some questions. She's just a bit strange, I think, but I think that she's better than Biden in a way, a couple ways, but still, like, we don't have a choice. So please vote. Just vote. Nikki Haley, she's even worse than Trump, I think. She is, well, nicer than Trump, but she's worse on the policies. She's even more anti-climate change. She doesn't know about climate change either. She is, I don't know all of her policies, but I believe that she's anti-choice. And I think she supports the wall or something. I don't know, but I'd have to take a look at her policies more. But from the first things I know about her, I don't like her at all. Vote for Pedro. I actually met him. Fun fact: I actually met him too. The guy from Napoleon Dynamite. I actually met I met Napoleon, the stepdad or the uncle, and Pedro. They were at a talk or something, and they're really cool people. They're really funny. They're funny in person. Like they're really comedic in person. So it's cool. Yeah, Uncle Rico. Yeah, I met him. I met a lot of people. I met Bill Nye. I met Aaron Ra. I met Lawrence Krauss. I met Kel Mitchell from Keenan and Kel. I met all those guys. Napoleon. I met Neil Tyson. Michio Kaku. I talked to Michio Kaku. I met some famous people in my time. And I met me. You met Kel too? Yeah, awesome. I loved that show when I was a kid. Right? Keenan and Kel, SpongeBob, all that, The Amanda Show. Those are the best shows in the world. You can't beat that. You went bowling with Roseanne? Really? Meet David Attenborough? No, I didn't. You know who I always wanted to meet though? Jane Goodall. I think she's an incredible person. Brian Greene is on my list. If I can choose somebody right now who's alive to talk to, be Brian Greene. I love his mind. Such a great guy. He's smart, he's funny, and he's vegan. But of course, you guys all know Carl Sagan is somebody who I would meet. I would love to have met. He's my idol. Brian Greene is I'm sorry, Carl Sagan was probably, I think, one of the greatest people to ever live. He did so much in his time.